Right now, inside you, there is a version of yourself that the world will never allow to exist. Not because you lack ability, not because you lack intelligence, but because the moment you truly believe in that version, you become impossible to control. And that is the one thing the world cannot tolerate. In 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli was dragged from his office in Florence, thrown into a dungeon, hung upside down by ropes until his shoulders dislocated. Every title stripped, every ally gone. Every door he had spent 20 years opening slammed shut in his face. The world had erased him. But what he did next in that cell didn't just save his life. It rewrote 500 years of human history. And the weapon he used, it wasn't a sword, it wasn't money, it wasn't an army. It was how he saw himself. Machiavelli did not collapse in that dungeon. He wrote The Prince, the book that changed how humanity thinks about power forever. But what's truly fascinating is not what he wrote. It's who he was when he wrote it. A prisoner with no army, no money, no authority, yet he wrote as an advisor to kings. He carried the identity of a man who shaped empires, even as the world treated him like dirt. And it was precisely the way he saw himself that forced reality to bend. Today, you will learn 7 beliefs that separate the people others fear from the people others use. Not from self-help books, not from motivational quotes on social media, from real history, real psychology, real people who used these exact principles to flip the balance of power when everything was stacked against them. What you're about to hear will contradict everything society has taught you about humility, about patience, about knowing your place. If that makes you uncomfortable, leave now. If it makes you curious, you're exactly who Machiavelli wrote this for. If that sentence alone made you pause, hit like right now, because you just passed the first test. Number 1. The false identity. You are not losing because you lack ability. You are not losing because the world is unfair. You are losing because you are operating under an identity that was never yours, an identity carefully assembled by the people around you, from a time when you were too young to fight back. Your parents called ambition arrogance. Your teachers called difference instability. Your friends called aspiration delusion. They didn't mean to harm you. Most of them did it out of love. But Machiavelli made it clear, a comfortable lie, even when wrapped in love, is still a cage. And a cage is a cage, whether it is made of iron or of good intentions. The people who feared you the most were the ones who built that cage, not your enemies, your family, your teachers, your circle. Because the moment you believed you were ordinary, they felt safe. In 44 BC, there was an 18-year-old boy named Gaius Octavius, grandnephew of Julius Caesar. When Caesar was assassinated, the entire Roman Senate looked at Octavian and saw a pawn, a child. Easy to control, easy to exploit, easy to throw away once his usefulness expired. Cicero, the most powerful orator in Rome, said it plainly, "We will praise the boy, use him, and then dispose of him." But Octavian refused the identity the world assigned him. He did not argue. He did not react with anger. He did something far more dangerous. He declared a new identity. He took the name Caesar. He called himself Divi Filius, son of a god. He conducted himself as the sole legitimate heir to the Roman Empire, not because he had an army at that point, he did not, but because he decided that was the truth. The result? Octavian became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, ruling for 40 years in an era of unprecedented peace. The boy Cicero, called a disposable pawn, outlived Cicero, outlived Mark Antony, outlived every single person who had ever looked down on him. The lesson is not, be confident. The lesson is this: The world will always assign you an identity lower than your reality. If you accept it, you will spend your entire life inside a frame someone else drew. But if you decide for yourself who you are, with cold, unwavering clarity, the world has no choice but to rearrange around that decision. But changing your identity is only the first step. Because even when you know who you are, there is still a signal you are broadcasting every second without realizing it. And that signal determines whether the world respects you or devours you. Number 2. The 4-second signal. Other people do not read your resume first. They do not read your credentials, your achievements, your good intentions. They read you. And they render a verdict usually in under 4 seconds on whether you are someone to be feared or someone to be used. That verdict, made in silence and never spoken aloud, will shape every single interaction you have with that person from that moment forward. It is invisible, it is instant, and it is almost irreversible. In 1968, at Oak School Elementary in San Francisco, psychologist Robert Rosenthal conducted an experiment that changed the way science understands perception. He told teachers that certain students, selected through a special intelligence test, were about to experience a dramatic intellectual bloom. The truth? The list was completely random. There was no test. The names were chosen by coin flip, the results after 1 year. The students labeled special gained an average of 12 IQ points. The rest gained only 8. Not because the children were different, but because the teachers treated them differently. More attention, higher expectations, more detailed feedback. The children responded by becoming exactly what was expected of them. Science calls this the Pygmalion effect. But read deeper. The teachers' expectations did not generate themselves. They originated from a label, a signal. Someone assigned that signal to the child, and the child became it. In real life, nobody goes around labeling you. You label yourself. By the way you walk into a room, by the way you shake a hand, by the eye contact you hold or avoid, by the voice you lower or keep steady, by the silence you hold or fill with nervous noise. Machiavelli observed the same thing 400 years before science proved it. When he described Cesare Borgia entering the Romagna in 1499, Borgia did not yet have a powerful army, did not yet have reliable allies, but he carried himself as though he already owned everything in front of him. Every meeting, every treaty, was conducted from the position of a ruler, never a beggar. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, chapter 7, "He laid foundations so solid that anyone with his spirit could have built upon them." Borgia did not wait for the world to grant him power. He broadcast the signal of power first, and the world adjusted accordingly. And here is the terrifying part. The people who get exploited the most in this world are not the weakest ones in the room. They are the ones with real ability who broadcast a weak signal. They apologize when they should stay silent. They laugh nervously when they should hold steady. They explain when they should act. The manipulators in the room, the ones who have studied human behavior with cold precision, spot that signal instantly. They don't see a humble person. They see raw material. So, ask yourself, the signal you are broadcasting in those first 4 seconds, is it the signal of an architect or of raw material waiting to be shaped? But knowing how to broadcast the right signal is still not enough, because there is something more dangerous than a wrong signal. It is leaking power through words, and most people do it every single day without realizing it. Number 3, the weapon of silence. Every time you explain yourself to someone who does not deserve to hear it, you are not being honest. You are handing them a map to your weaknesses. Every time you justify a decision in front of someone who has no authority to judge it, you are handing over the exact coordinates of your self-doubt and calling it openness. Machiavelli wrote it plainly. Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands, for everyone can see, but few can feel. Meaning, what people see you do carries 10,000 times more weight than what you say you will do. Words are cheap currency in a world flooded with promises. Actions, silence, and consistency, when no one is watching, those are the currencies that hold their value. Louis XIV understood this more deeply than any ruler in history. He did not build Versailles because he enjoyed luxury. He built it as an information control system. At Versailles, every French nobleman was forced to live under one roof, where Louis observed them hour by hour. But they never not once knew what he was thinking. He was famous for one single response to every request. Je verrai. I will consider it. Never yes, never no. Only strategic silence. The result? The entire French court lived in a constant state of anticipation. No one dared act without weighing Louis's reaction, because no one knew what that reaction would be. And that is exactly how he held absolute power for 72 years, the longest reign in European history. But understand this clearly. Silence is not always a weapon. Psychologist Elliot Aronson demonstrated through the pratfall effect study in 1966 that highly competent people who stay silent are perceived as deep, mysterious, and commanding. But low-competence people who stay silent are perceived as having nothing to say. Silence is only a weapon when you have already built a foundation of perceived value. If no one yet knows you have worth, silence is not strategy, it is invisibility. Step 1. Build the foundation through action. Step 2. Protect the foundation through silence. That is the formula of Louis XIV. That is the formula of Machiavelli. And now, that is your formula. But even when you have sealed your mouth shut, there is still an enemy more dangerous than any external opponent, and it lives inside your own head. Number 4. The enemy within. Your most dangerous enemy does not attack with violence. It does not come through betrayal or competition. It comes as a whisper that sounds exactly like your own voice. It's not the right time. I'm not ready yet. Next week, when conditions are better. Carl Jung, the greatest psychoanalyst of the 20th century, called this the shadow, the part of you that you refuse to confront, refuse to acknowledge, refuse to drag into the light. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The shadow does not need to defeat you, it only needs to delay you. One day, 1 month, 1 year, until the accumulated weight of procrastination is heavy enough to crush the ambition inside you. And then you forget it ever existed. In 1849, Fyodor Dostoevsky was led to a firing squad in St. Petersburg. He stood in the snow, blindfolded, with rifles aimed at his chest. He heard the order to fire. He felt his heart stop. And then, at the last second, the Tsar's pardon arrived. The execution was a staged performance, a psychological torture designed to break him. Dostoevsky was sent to a Siberian labor camp for 4 years. Freezing temperatures, forced labor, complete isolation from everything he knew. The world had erased him, just as it erased Machiavelli. But Dostoevsky did something that defines the difference between those who are destroyed and those who become dangerous. He separated suffering as a state from suffering as an identity. The camp was a condition. It was not who he was. When he emerged, he wrote Crime and Punishment, the Brothers Karamazov, the idiot works that shook the foundation of Western literature. The man the Tsar tried to break became one of the greatest writers who ever lived. Not because he was optimistic, but because he refused to let the shadow win through delay. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "The most catastrophic losses do not come from external enemies, but from the moment a man becomes his own opposition." When internal resistance is stronger than external drive, you lose before the battle even begins. So, what do? You do not negotiate with the shadow. You do not coax it with affirmations or morning routines. You identify it, you name it, you calculate precisely how many opportunities it has stolen, how many better versions of you it has killed. And then you make a decision cold, decisive, irreversible, that it no longer has a seat at the table of your mind. But destroying the enemy within is only demolition. The more important question is, what do you build on the rubble? And this is where most people get it catastrophically wrong. Number 5. Standards versus goals. A goal is something you reach for. A standard is something you refuse to fall below. They sound the same. They are entirely different animals. A goal lives in the future, always at a distance, always dependent on favorable conditions. A standard lives right here, in the decision you are making right now, in the boundary you are holding today. The person who sets a goal of read 20 books this year, by March hasn't read one, quits, blames themselves, and the familiar cycle of self-defeat continues. The person who sets a standard of read 20 minutes every night before bed needs no motivation, no inspiration, because it is not a project. It is an identity. Think of a standard as an invisible fortress, not a wall the world can see and attack. A structure inside you that determines what enters your life and what does not, what you tolerate and what you reject. The moment someone crosses that line, they feel resistance they cannot explain. That resistance is your standard. In 1603, Tokugawa Ieyasu became the shogun of Japan, but his rise to power did not begin in 1603. It began 40 years earlier, when he was a hostage at the age of 6. For decades, Ieyasu watched warlords around him fight, betray, conquer, and collapse. Oda Nobunaga fell to betrayal. Toyotomi Hideyoshi built an empire, then watched his legacy crumble before he died. Ieyasu did something none of them did. He held an absolute internal standard. Never act from emotion. Never break discipline for short-term gain. Never reveal your full hand until the moment is irreversible. For 40 years, he waited, not passively, strategically, building alliances, studying every failure around him, absorbing every lesson from every fallen warlord. When the moment came at the Battle of Sekigahara, Ieyasu didn't need luck. He had prepared so thoroughly that the outcome was decided before the first arrow flew. He unified Japan and established a dynasty that lasted 260 years of peace, the longest period of stability in Japanese history. Machiavelli observed that the greatest leaders in history were not the most talented. They were the ones who held the highest standards for themselves and created systems to protect those standards. Talent without discipline is potential that never ripens. Intelligence without direction is energy that dissipates. Ambition without a standard is a fire that burns the very person who lit it. So, decide. Not a goal for next year, a standard for today. What do you accept from yourself? What do you refuse? Where is the line? And is it truly inviolable? But even the highest standard means nothing if you do not understand a colder law, the law of how power actually operates. And this law will make you uncomfortable. Number 6. Power is not given. It is seized. The modern world teaches you that if you work hard, stay loyal, and remain patient, the reward will come. That is the biggest lie you have ever been told. Not because hard work is worthless, but because hard work that no one sees is invisible, and what is invisible receives nothing. Machiavelli never believed the world was a fair system. He wrote, "The world does not automatically reward the most talented, the hardest working, or the most deserving. It rewards the one who has mastered the art of positioning. Positioning is what turns effort into results." Without it, effort is just sweat evaporating in silence. In 1793, Napoleon Bonaparte was a 24-year-old artillery captain. No name, no pedigree. Nobody in France knew who he was. At the siege of Toulon, the British held the port, and the senior French generals argued among themselves for weeks. No plan, no decisive action, just politics and paralysis. Napoleon did not wait to be asked for his opinion. He did not request permission. He drew up the attack plan himself, presented it to General Dugommier, and volunteered to lead the assault personally. Not because he was reckless, because he saw a power vacuum that no one else had the courage to fill, and he stepped into it. The result? Toulon fell. Napoleon was promoted to brigadier general at 24. The greatest military career in modern history did not begin from permission. It began from self-determination. Machiavelli called this virtù, not virtue in the moral sense, but the capacity for decisive action when fortune wavers. In The Prince, chapter 25, he wrote, "Fortune is the arbiter of half our actions, but she still leaves the other half for us to govern. Virtù is the only force that stands against Fortuna." Napoleon at Toulon was living proof. He did not wait for fortune to smile. He used virtù to manufacture opportunity from chaos, but make the distinction razor sharp. Seizing power is not recklessness. Napoleon did not charge into Toulon on emotion. He charged in with a detailed artillery plan that no one else was willing to draw. The difference between recklessness and decisiveness is one word: preparation. Every power vacuum in your life, every committee where no one leads, every project where no one decides, every moment of paralysis in your workplace or social circle is a Toulon. The question is, will you be the one who steps in, or will you watch someone less capable take what should have been yours? But seizing power without understanding how to make the world permanently rearrange itself around you, that makes you a momentary rebel, not an architect. And this final belief is the mechanism that separates rebels from emperors. Number 7. The world rearranges itself. This is the truth this entire video has been building toward. When you change the way you see yourself, truly change it. Not surface-level affirmation, not vision boards, not wishful thinking. The world does not shift because of magic. It shifts because of a chain reaction. New self-perception leads to new behavior. New behavior leads to new decisions. New decisions lead to new actions. New actions, accumulated long enough, consistent enough, cold enough, lead to new results. And new results compounded over time create a new reality. This is not mysticism. This is not the universe is listening. This is a feedback loop. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Your brain physically changes its structure based on what you repeat. Repeat the thought, "I am not worthy," long enough, and your brain builds a neural highway for that thought. Every reaction, every hesitation, every moment of self-doubt travels faster along that highway each time. Repeat, "I am the architect, not the raw material," long enough, and your brain builds a different highway entirely. Your posture changes, your decisions change, the words you choose change, the people who approach you change, the opportunities that appear change. Not because the universe heard your wish, because you became a different signal, and signals attract different responses. Machiavelli proved this with his own life. After prison, he was not reinstated. He was exiled to a small farm in Sant'Andrea in Percusina. During the day, he worked the fields like a peasant, caught birds, played cards with villagers at the local tavern. But every evening, Machiavelli performed a ritual. He took off the mud-caked peasant garments. He washed. He put on his court robes, the clothes he had worn when advising the rulers of Florence. Then he stepped into his study and, in his own words, entered the courts of the ancients. He read Livy, Tacitus, Plutarch. He wrote in his famous letter to Francesco Vettori on December 10th, 1513, "I change my clothes to be worthy of this conversation, and for 4 hours I feel no boredom. I forget every worry. I do not fear poverty. I am not trembled by death." That act, changing clothes every evening, was not vanity. It was identity reaffirmation, a ritual of self-perception maintenance. Every night, Machiavelli told himself, "I am still an advisor to kings, even though the world says I am a peasant." And from that identity, from that fortified self-perception, he wrote The Prince, the book that survived 500 years, the book you are listening to right now. But, and this is the boundary you must engrave into your mind, elevated self-perception is not delusion. Machiavelli wrote The Prince because he had real knowledge, 20 years of diplomatic service for Florence. Napoleon took Toulon because he had real artillery skills, honed through years of obsessive study. Augustus built an empire because he had real political intelligence cultivated from the moment he entered Caesar's household. Self-perception without competence is delusion. And delusion gets crushed by reality faster than any enemy can. The full formula, real competence plus accurate self-perception plus consistent action equals new reality. Remove any element and the equation collapses. And understand this, the process will not always feel like reward. Sometimes it will feel like loss. People will leave because they cannot keep up with your new standard. Situations that once felt comfortable will become suffocating because the person you are becoming cannot breathe in spaces the old you once accepted. Old comfort zones will feel like prisons because that is exactly what they are. Do not mistake that discomfort for failure. A snake does not mourn the skin it sheds. It moves forward, newer, lighter, into territory the old skin could never reach. 7 beliefs. Let me say them one final time, not so you remember them, so you feel their weight. 1. The identity the world gave you is a cage built from other people's limitations. Shatter it. 2. The 4-second signal determines whether you are feared or exploited. Master it. 3. Silence is a weapon, but only after you've built a foundation worth protecting. Build first. Go silent after. 4. The enemy within does not need to defeat you. It only needs to delay you long enough for your ambition to die. Destroy it before it destroys you. 5. A standard is an invisible fortress. Goals depend on the future. Standards depend only on your decision right now. Erect it. 6. Power is never given. It is seized by those who dare to step into the void when everyone else hesitates. Step in. 7. The world rearranges not because of magic, but because changed behavior compounded over time produces a different reality. Trust the mechanism. Abandon the mysticism. There is an 8th belief I did not include in this list, not because it is less important, but because it cannot be taught. It can only be earned. And if you've made it to the end of this video, you already know what it is. You don't need anyone's permission anymore. Machiavelli did not write The Prince for the masses. He wrote it for one person, the person willing to see the world as it truly is, and cold enough to act accordingly. The only question is that person you? Tonight, before you sleep, write down 3 sentences. Just 3. Who I am, where I am going, what I refuse to accept. Do not share it. Do not post it. Just write. Because power begins with declarations no one hears. And the version of you that the world tried to prevent, it starts tonight.